Welcome to the continuing conversation around art, placemaking, and how to create meaningful experiences in the built environment. I'm your host, Martha Weidman, CEO and co-founder of 9.arts. And if you haven't already, make sure you check out the ebook that we recently published. It's called The Art of Placemaking. It explores 5 fundamental principles for creating one-of-a-kind destinations through the power of art and culture. You can download your free copy at 9.arts.com/placemaking. Today, I'm excited to introduce to you our guest, Melissa Haft, the head of environments and design for Overmoon. And we met because Melissa has been working on a massive scale up and rollout of their single family rental properties and has been thinking about how to make them unique and interesting. So today, you'll learn more about how Melissa approaches home renovation and design, how to create a brand experience in a physical sense. She'll share her perspective on women in the hospitality industry and the progress that the industry's made. And you'll hear about the innovations that Overmoon's working on in these concepts of being an art-forward, short-term, family-oriented vacation rental to equip travelers with all types of everything that they might need to enjoy both a home and a vacation, from, great towels to inflatable turtles so you can float on in the pool. She'll talk about the role of art and design and art's ability to leave a lasting impression that makes people want to visit again, tell their friends, and come back for more. So here we go. Enjoy the show. Hey, Melissa, so great to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Martha. It's a pleasure to be on with you.
Well, I would love to kick it off by having you tell our listeners a little bit more about you, who you are, what you do, and why you're passionate about it.
I'm happy to share. So my role, I'm with a company called Overmoon, and we are a startup that's a vacation rental portfolio of properties, which we own, furnish, manage, and we're really building a brand experience around the vacation rental experience. My role at Overmoon is head of environments design. So I oversee everything from the renovation setup of our homes, creating our brand experience in the physical sense, really looking at our environmental experience with the guest and ensuring that there's a nice pull through of the brand throughout their stay. And kind of anything else that design-wise that touches the product range. So photography and styling and all of the sort of brand aspects that have a physical expression, guest OS&E, et cetera.
And what gets you out of bed every morning? What do you love about that work that you're doing?
So with Overmoon, what particularly attracted me to the product is just how innovative it is, that really no one's doing what we are trying to create here. We're in our infancy as a company, so lots of brand building and growth to have is coming, but it's exciting to be part of a team in the early stages of it and really kind of build it from the ground up. I'm also a veteran of the hospitality industry. I've worked in primarily hotels. I've really done kind of the range of design for hotels, resorts. I even had a little stint doing residential design. So this particular role is like the confluence of my background in all of those different sectors, kind of bringing it into the travel experience, but in a more residential environment than the typical hotel. I'm a passionate design advocate and leader in the design field, and really just love being a part of the community, particularly the hospitality community. It's very
absolutely. Well, tell us about hospitality, because things have changed, and that's been your background. So I think it's fascinating to see someone who's come from hospitality design and now taking that into a space which is this innovative future. It's kind of a residential hospitality mashup. So tell us a little bit more about some of the trends that you've seen and how the industry has changed.
Yeah. I can certainly speak a lot into the vacation rental sector. It's growing rapidly. It's a huge market opportunity. Traditional hospitality options, are usually hotels. There are timeshares and fractionals and all, a whole range of different products out there. But more recently, with the advent of platforms like Airbnb and VRBO, more guests are taking advantage of staying in private residences in a single family residential environment for their vacations. And so we've really seen an insane growth over the last 5 years or so in that space. So just to cite some statistics here, and you'll see me looking at them because I don't have them off the top of my head, but in 2017, total US vacation rental revenues were $6 billion. Fast forward to 2021, and that revenue segment is $17 billion.
Wow.
We expect 2022 to surpass that and exceed $20 billion in total revenues across that whole segment. So
Wow.
huge growth, right? And what's so exciting is that, while the hotel kind of asset class is tried and true and it's been around for a long time, this is really a new asset class, particularly in real estate investment. And just to get a little technical, but historically, post the Great Recession, we really saw the advent of kind of institutional investment in single family homes as an investment class. But those companies that have kind of pioneered in that space really do long-term rentals. So they're not, they're buying single family homes and then renting them long-term. So there really aren't any major real estate owners buying vacation rental homes and doing the sort of same thing, but for short-term stays, which is one of the ways that Overmoon is really innovative is we're trying to create that kind of new asset class for short-term rentals. And then along with that, really trying to offer not just those great returns to our investors, but a true, consistent, reliable vacation experience for the type of guests that travel to vacation rental homes.
Well, and that is so important because you think about going on vacation, right? And you just want to immediately, hop on that plane with your bag and be in a mode of escape. So, you can kind of turn off the outside world, turn off the emails, and not have to worry about other things and really feel like you're well taken care of. And so I think that this approach, especially the thoughtfulness with which you're approaching design, consistently makes a huge difference. And the way that you're focusing on using design and thoughtfulness and local experience to feel like you're in a specific place and you can recognize that specific place and the design elements are specific to that region, while at the same time, having this consistent approach across different regions of the US, but it's not cookie cutter. So how do you describe that approach to what you're doing and your approach to design overall?
Yeah, I mean, we have a kind of two-prong approach of balancing the different priorities to our guests, and particularly having a distributed portfolio of individual homes in different markets. We want to make sure that each home really reflects that market, but that still also has that through line of the Overmoon experience every stay. So yes, there's been such an amazing appreciation across with consumers for a more residential and localized experience. And we've seen that pervasive in hospitality. And so, when we look at a product like a vacation rental home, that experience is even more residential, right? You're like kind of taking it to that next level. Hotels don't offer full kitchens. They don't offer, garage parking, drive up garage parking, your own private pool. There's a whole range of amenities that you can't really get through a hotel experience. And guests are traveling to vacation rentals for a different need. I think there's a lot of conversation historically around, will Airbnb and VRBO displace the hospitality demand? Mm-hmm. And I think we've seen that, no, the use case is totally different. So when guests rent a vacation home, they're usually traveling in groups, multi-generational groups often. It might be parents with kids, multiple families with kids, groups of friends reuniting, a bachelorette party or family reunion. And so their goal and intent when they're staying in a vacation rental is totally different than maybe like a transient visit to a city in a urban center at a hotel. And so we're thinking about all those different needs to the guests and really trying to accommodate the unique use case of staying in a vacation rental home. Now, to dig into like the kind of localization piece too, every home has its own set of kind of reasons for traveling there, and so we're really looking at what will make that stay most comfortable. There's a sort of basics that we always offer that our guests, they give our guests that consistency and that they love, which is, high speed Wi-Fi, a seamless check-in process, 24-hour customer service, kind of all the things you don't currently get when you stay at an Airbnb. But on top of that, we have a shop, an Overmoon shop that kind of allows you, because we have this integrated tech platform where you use our app and you can access our website. During your stay, you can add any kind of unique customizations to the stay to make that stay more comfortable. So if you're there for the beach and you're bringing your kids, our shop offers, for just like a quick touch of the button, you can have, kind of shade structure for the beach and a whole beach kit with beach toys and, the beach mat and all the things that you need to kind of enhance that experience, which is, again, something that no hotel can truly offer. You're really required to transport those things yourself. And we think that the customer of the future is looking for that convenience, and they're willing to spend for that convenience, especially because travel is all about relaxation and letting go and unwinding. So the last thing you want to do is kind of worry about running to the store to get all those supplies once you've reached your destination.
Absolutely. So just the way that works, you've got it set up in a storage closet or something, and someone pulls it out and has it ready before they arrive, or can you order it on demand? How does that work?
Yeah. So it's an on-demand system. We have kind of centralized warehousing for all of those supplies, whatever kind of add-ons you want to add to enhance your stay. And so we have our network of local operations managers that'll make sure that the home is either kitted out before your arrival if you've pre-requested it, or we'll bring it to your house during the stay if requested. And
that is great service.
Really impressive. And another reason why I just love what we're doing at Overmoon. You can get mid-stay cleaning. You could get eventually, we'll have more and more offerings as we grow. But if you wanted childcare or an in-house chef, you can request those things with the touch of a button. So really just kind of eases that whole stay experience.
That's amazing. So you've got an extensive background in interior design. How do you think artwork plays a role in design?
Oh, it is so quintessential to the experience. And I'm sure you agree with me. For us, art is just such an important opportunity to create design impact, as well as really root the destination to the home. I often start when we create our kind of home palettes, we often start with the art and build from there, because to me, that's the strongest element to add that graphic statement, to set the tone, to kind of add that infuse that character. And then really that's the stuff that lingers with the guest. That's kind of how they remember the space, is that really beautiful art moment. And,
those memorable pieces.
On other surfaces, it can be in pillows or in rugs or in window treatments. But for me, and I think a lot of people would agree, art is just such an important piece of that design statement.
Well, it has a way of making an impact that, it might be hard to do with a paint color. I mean, certainly paint can be interesting, and all of the design elements are working together. It's a collaborative process. But when you think about one specific image, a lot of times art can hold a room in that way, or create the statement piece or the conversation moment that becomes the backdrop for the stay, and kind of burns a visual image in your memory that can be really positive, and a positive association for the guests to tell other people about it, to come back, and to really help them understand the thoughtfulness that goes into the entire process of what you're bringing to the table.
Completely. You made me think of this story that one of our team members shared of a vacation rental she stayed at that was flamingo themed. And, we're not going for the highly thematic experience, but we are extremely family and kid friendly. So there will be those kind of spaces. We've got mural rooms in our property in Orlando, and they're so fun. But she like that was one of her favorite stays, this flamingo themed home, and everything had little flamingo elements from the art to the window treatments, the bedding, and that stuck with her. She said they recommended that property to tons of other friends. They've had other friends stay at it. And so it's just that like wow moment that can be the hook that has our customers recommending our properties to other people traveling to that same market. So we don't want to, we don't want to miss that opportunity. I think the art is such a great way to leave that lasting memory.
Yeah. Well, one of the words you've used consistently in our conversation is home, right? This emphasis on creating places that feel like home, that look like home. And then on the flip side of that, we also want to feel like we're on vacation and we're somewhere different and we don't have as many responsibilities as we do at home.
Yeah.
So, how do you define or reconcile all these different associations that come with the interpretation of home, and how do you use culture and art and design, all those elements to get that home feeling?
Yeah, it's many pronged, I think, from just the physical product experience, having kind of all the things you need are key, right? Home is a space that offers you've curated it to be able to give you whatever you need, from, the right amount of towels to blankets if you're cold, being able to set that temperature exactly right. So, we're thinking about the physical product and making sure that the home's, updated in a way that's really going to be able to cater to anyone's preference, the lighting settings, things like that. And then there's the added amenities that we bring into the house, just really thinking about the customer that's traveling to our home. They're likely to be using the kitchen and cooking full meals with their families. So we fully kit out our kitchens with every single utensil that you might need. We've user tested it with our own team members to make sure there was nothing forgotten. So, that kitchen package is just a huge, very thoughtfully curated moment. Your coffee in the morning, we've got a nice branded coffee experience, and we're working on rolling it out so it's localized by market. So it kind of introduces you to the local coffee roaster, and that might then trigger you to walk down and try that coffee shop in person. And then there's just kind of the thoughtful amenities and intuitiveness that we use in our home design. So we have 4 principles in our design process that we've highlighted. One is to be joy-driven and fun. Really
I love that.
Using those joyful moments, because again, these are spaces that people are using to create memories with loved ones. So we really want to foster that. Family friendliness is key too. We're really thinking about parents, kids, pets, whoever your chosen family or biological family is, making sure that we're accommodating all of those range of guests and their needs. And then this valuing intuitiveness and intentionality. So how we lay out the furniture floor plans, making sure we've got, tables for you to put your drinks down on and coasters right there waiting for you, and shade umbrella outside at your chaise lounge, and just really thinking about all the ways that if you need to plug a device in, you've got a power outlet nearby. And then our 4th kind of principle is aspirationality. So it's in the sense of, when you stay in a vacation rental destination, you're not just looking for your own home experience, but something special and different too. Often, our homes might be just in and of themselves distinct from your own experience at home, but also the destination is, beautiful, or there's the beach access within a few blocks. So we're really trying to curate the selection of homes to be able to provide that wow and unexpected experience, and then also fitting out the homes with programming that gives you that kind of added memory and added amenity package that you don't necessarily have at home, whether it's a fire pit or a hot tub, or the hammock or covered patio with the lighting curated, and that whole experience really thoughtfully designed.
What's one thing that you don't have in your home that you look forward to on vacation?
We don't have a hot tub. I love hot springs and any kind of warm water experience. So I definitely look forward to visiting our Jacksonville Beach home, which has a hot tub in the backyard. it's just blocks from the beach. So you really get that. You can go swim in the cold ocean or enjoy the hot tub in the evening.
Oh, that's great. And are there any particular places that you really are excited about opening because you want to go on vacation there?
So many. So we're currently concentrated in the Southeast, primarily in Florida. We're going to be expanding up and down the Eastern Seaboard. And we want to, eventually we'll be national and then long-term we'll be international. So I love just traveling to new places and places I've never been to before. So really anywhere that I've never been to would be somewhere I'd love to stay. But I'm Bay Area based, so I'd love for us to have homes in places like Big Sur, Palm Springs, maybe up north along the Oregon coast. So one of these, soon we'll be on the West Coast and I'll really get to drive up to our properties. Right now I have to fly across the country, so it's not as convenient.
And how would you describe your own style, your personal style?
Fashion or interiors, because
both.
They're different. I do love a lot of color and pattern in my life. But also design to me is so much an expression of the context. So, when it comes to my own interior space, I have a Spanish revival home in Oakland. And so I've really kind of leaned into just honoring the architecture and developing a design scheme that feels like it fits within that context, but also has, it represents me and my own personality. But yeah, when it comes to our approach at Overmoon, I think I bring in a lot of my own personal aesthetic, and to me, pattern and color really bring joy to people. So I will be infusing a lot of that in our home designs.
I love that. I think finding joy, especially on vacation, in your everyday life, but especially on vacation, is so important. So I love that you've got that as one of your pillars, not only for the company, but also for you personally. That's a good one to dig into. Yeah. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with joy and happiness.
These are my a little moment of
I love it. Look at those nails. That's great. Yeah, for those of us who are listening, she's got these amazing nails that are kind of manicured with a bright, is it a bright orange? It looks bright orange.
Orange French tip nail.
An orange French tip nail. Now, do you know the name of that color? Because the name is...
I don't.
It's like a Cajun shrimp.
Like a fluorescent persimmon or something.
Fluorescent persimmon French tip nails. Okay, this is joy. This is how you find joy in your everyday. You just wake up and look at that.
Totally.
I love it. Well, you and I share something in common in that we're both fortunate to be women in the real estate space, which is a world traditionally dominated by men. And I think that comes with some challenges, of course, but also it's a big opportunity because we get to approach things from a new lens or, offer a new perspective at times. And I noticed in one of the recent Women in Design panels at HD Expo last April, you were sharing that women should be commended for caretaking for children or loved ones. And that's part of many people's lives. And more often, we should really be understanding and conscious about the gaps that might exist on a resume for time off for caretaking. So could you talk maybe more about this example in particular and any other thoughts you have on women in leadership, women in the workplace, and women in real estate?
Yeah, I've been in hospitality now for 17 years. And I can tell you there's been quite a transformation in just the awareness around recognizing women's unique needs and bringing in more feminine voices into the realm of leadership and in the planning conversations. So I'm grateful that we've evolved as an industry. I agree, real estate is highly male dominated. But when I look at a company like Overmoon, for example, we're a startup, and our culture is kind of rooted in a lot of startup values, which really look for diversity across the leadership team. I also think our product itself is particularly mindful of women's needs, and that we're thinking about families traveling together and what families need when they travel, supplies for kids. A lot of young families don't travel when the kids are under 5. You
Right.
can kind of see across the demographics that there's like a significant drop in travel patterns and use of that, because childcare is more expensive when children are younger. You're kind of dealing with having to transport a lot of gear that's just not pleasant for parents. And so Overmoon, I'm just using this as an example case, but we're really thinking about like, how do we enable that for families rather than just saying this isn't an audience that is a moneymaker. We're saying, how do we serve those needs to make them travel more, like to enable them to travel more? So for me, like one way that I think I can really transform our industry is to work for companies that are thinking about all those, the unique experience that women have, which is that women are often the predominant caretakers when children are younger. We saw that really emphasized in the pandemic when the significant number of women left the workforce to be the primary caretakers because kids weren't able to be in school. Not being a parent yet myself, I do, hope for that one day. And I do think like we just need to think about how do we make the work experience easier for women so that they're incentivized to stay in their companies and not take that time off for child.
Absolutely. Yeah, and provide the support structures that can, help people with that. It could be, small things from having a really comfortable nursing room to providing a fridge to store milk, to providing access or even resources for caregiving or caretaking, being flexible with start and end times so that you can go pick your kid up from work or drop them off at a certain time. So key is like flexibility, support, resources, and it can be things as small as a really well-designed, nursing room in a workplace, or bigger policies that support paid time off when you have a child, and also thinking about ways that other people can support child rearing and child giving in non-traditional relationships. Maybe you provide an equal amount of parental leave, and parent can be defined in a number of ways, from groups that have adopted a child, spouses who are taking time off. It might be the woman, but it might be a different gender. So just thinking about how we can support caregiving as a whole, I think is a better lens for business.
Completely. That's key. And then of course, just the female experience and how we view the world and what our value set is, it can be distinct from men. I mean, I don't like to overly genderize the world experience, but I think women have different ways of communicating and expressing themselves. And the more people in leadership roles are thinking about that and catering to it, means that women feel included, they feel welcome in those spaces, as opposed to having to conform to a much more masculine way of being.
Is there something that comes to your mind when you think about different ways of communicating?
I do find in working with a lot of other women, we seek consensus, we seek to have everybody's voices be heard.
Yeah.
And I think there are plenty of men out there that do that value that too. But I've also been in workspaces where it is predominantly men in like the position of decision making, and have seen that there isn't that invitation for everyone to contribute or that everyone's opinion matters. I think where it really is like gotten to me in the kind of world of hospitality is where, when you're thinking about your customer, it's usually it's a whole range of people not like yourself. And so maybe gender aside, I would say I've learned through my career to not think of myself as the customer, but really think about every type of customer that's going to use our space and how do we include them and consider them. Those needs are broad, and I may not live in Florida and know the climate in Florida. So when we're designing for it, I have to think about that. What's going to make people comfortable. You need fans. You need bug screening. You need things that we don't need in California. And so it's really just, I try to bring that humility into the design process and thinking about how to make sure anyone would be comfortable in our spaces.
Yeah. Well, I think it's so important to think about the different experience and how each guest might bring a unique need to the table. You were talking earlier about traveling with kids and this gap in time of 0 to 5, where you just feel like you can't go anywhere. And as a mother of 3 children, I know what that feels like. And I remember going to Japan with our 4-month-old daughter and everyone we told really was quite discouraging. But we did it anyway. She was, I think, by the time we left, about 5 months. And we carried her, and the little carrier was just this. It was actually a very easy time to travel. And I'll never forget we stayed in a military hotel because we had friends in the Air Force that were stationed in Japan, and they provided a babysitting service. And that night out, that 2 hours of babysitting was golden. It was everything you could ever want on a vacation, just to have someone watch your baby for 2 hours so you could put her down and go out. It made a world of difference and a huge boost to the experience, the memories, the one-on-one time we got with our friends who were living there. So it's just, it's such an open market. And if you can see through other people's lens, not only are you creating a better experience for the guests, but you're going to become more profitable. So it's smart. It makes the whole experience better for the people who are using that product. And it just, makes for better business.
I agree. Yeah, that sounds like a dream trip. And when we're in Japan, one day you can stay at an Overmoon, and hopefully by then we'll have babysitting services.
I would love that. That would be amazing. There was a little bit of a language barrier, but nothing we couldn't overcome.
Yeah, I know. That's so great. I love hearing those stories because it just gets me excited about all the ways that we're going to be able to ease the young parents' travel experience.
Absolutely. Well, in closing, I always like to ask are there industry trends that you are seeing right now that might impact the way you shift your work moving forward?
I would say kind of the biggest shift from our perspective is the sort of shipping on demand ecosystem that we were all living in pre-pandemic, which has really come to a stark end. And being that we're buying our homes and really trying to get them listed and generating revenue as quickly as possible, we're really bound to things that are available immediately. We don't really have lead times to do lots of custom. And that's where someone like Nine Dots has been such a great partner in that and really helping us identify what vendors out there will allow us to order and deliver and get our homes furnished and listed as soon as possible. I don't think that with just the shakeup to the international, what's the word I'm looking for?
Supply chain.
Supply chain. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Like I've used that word ubiquitously.
I know. We all want to forget that word, actually. We all want to never have to say that word again.
Yeah. So with the supply chain disruptions post-COVID, it's kind of changed the way a lot of consumers are buying things and their expectations on when they're going to get them. And I think it's been good and bad, right? I think there was a lot of externalized environmental costs to this kind of on-demand environment. If you buy your product and it arrives tomorrow, I think people have become more patient with delays and unexpected changes. We become more flexible in that way. And, I think eventually things will smooth out and we'll have a little bit less kind of hurdles to getting things than we're experiencing now. But I'm just really intrigued to see kind of how that impacts the rate of consumption and the rate of trend evolution. I think it's going to kind of slow us all down a bit. And I look forward to that.
Yeah. I agree. It does reframe your expectations. I do think everyone has a different outlook on things won't happen quite as immediately as you might expect. And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. With the exception of a customer service issue at an Overmoon, that gets handled immediately.
Of course.
Okay.
Well, it's been such a pleasure to be able to work with the Overmoon team. And of course, that's how we got to know each other. And I am just so excited about what you're doing and the growth that lies ahead. And I think this concept is so needed in the market space. So really excited to see this take off.
Awesome. I am too. And I'm so appreciative of all of your guys' support. And I'm excited to continue working with Nine Dots and growing our brand.
Well, could you tell us, I asked this question of everyone on the show, about a piece of artwork or a personal art experience? Maybe it was a concert, a play, and a piece of architecture or a museum visit that made an impression on you or was especially memorable?
Oh, so many. Yeah, I guess I could cite, there's a great modern furniture and art fair every year in San Francisco called Fog Design and Art. And they get showrooms and art galleries really globally to the Fort Mason Center in San Francisco, which has a beautiful view of the Bay. And so I go to that every year, and that's really where I get kind of my inspiration brought to me rather than having to go travel to seek it out. And actually, one of the pieces of art that I saw there a few years ago was so inspirational to me that I actually use it as the inspiration for a tattoo. So,
oh, I love that.
I guess I could try to show it to you, but
oh wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. So I love experiencing art in different places when I travel, and that's always a source of inspiration. So there's too many to count, but yeah, this particular piece just stuck with me. It was so simple.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful.
So for our listeners, it's kind of a geometric design, and the colors go on the outside in kind of this gradient pattern to a lighter on the inside. It almost looks like a portal to another world. And it's right there on Melissa's arm. Yeah,
I could just look down at my forearm whenever I need to be inspired.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, we will include a link to that show for anyone who's listening so that you can check it out and learn more about it. And also a picture of Melissa's tattoo. I'm just kidding. But if our listeners would like to learn more about you and what you're doing, Melissa, and keep tabs on your design work and your work at Overmoon, where could they find you?
They would find me on LinkedIn, but also our website, overmoon.com. That's overmoon.com. And yeah, keep on the lookout for new homes coming online and exciting new destinations.
Amazing. Well, can't wait to take an Overmoon vacation. Melissa, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing the work that you're doing to shake up the industry and make vacations for everyone, especially those with multi-generational households or young children, make our lives easier for travel. So thanks for this great work that you're doing. It was a pleasure having you on today.
You're so welcome, Mark. I really appreciate it.
Thanks again for tuning in to ... And for more information about our guest and what we chatted about, check out the show notes at 9dotarts.com/podcast. Keep in mind that's all spelled out NINEDOTARTS.com/podcast. To keep up with our latest episodes, be sure to subscribe to 9.Arts on YouTube or subscribe to ... wherever you get your podcasts, and check out our new free ebook, The Art of Placemaking, where we break down the creative placemaking process and share 5 key tips for transforming spaces into memorable destinations through the power of art and culture. You can find that at 9.Arts.com/placemaking. And if you're looking to transform your next project with art, drop us a line. Let's talk at 9.Arts.com. Here's to wishing you continued creativity until the next time.